INXS Access All Areas, episode 189, the podcast that dives deep every week in regarding your favourite band, getting them into the Rock Wall of Fame, doing with listeners, patrons, and most of all, my compadre B. Hello, how are you? It's been a massive week in the INXS world, lots of things going on. How are you?
And most of all, doing it without being tongue-tied. Hey, Hayden?
Correct. Nothing being tongue-tied at all.
Yes, I'm doing well. Well, I've read that you've got a lot to talk about in the news, and there's been a lot going on. So let's get to it.
We've got a little bit of our trifecta sort of a series there where we did an episode of Rockstar INXS before you went away on your little sojourn over to Europe. And then we came back and did two episodes, one primarily on Pretty Vegas, which was probably the biggest legacy of that show in its creation and in its development. And then last week we did our top 10 reels, RELS, of moments about the show, which I think gave certain listeners or casual observers of that program a shortcut or a table of contents to go check some of those things out. It's funny, this Facebook sort of algorithm, B, isn't it? When you talk about stuff, do you ever find things pop up on your Facebook link after you've spoken about them, like Big Brother's listening?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I happened just to slightly indulge, watch a documentary this week based on the Brat Pack. It's called Brats. And it was done by Andrew McCarthy.
Not the Dolls Brats.
No, the mid-80s Hollywood young juggernaut sort of yuppie actors of that era. Demi Moore, Andrew McCarthy, Judd Nelson, Ali Sheedy, Molly Ringwald, all of them.
Yes.
And in the last 3 or 4 days since I watched that doco, I kept getting, pop-ups about the Brat Pack on my phone through Facebook. Yeah. So I just feel that any time we mention anything, someone is listening.
Good. I hope everyone talk about INXS and get them to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Right, that's a good idea. Maybe we can talk about the winning Tats Lotto tickets coming up this week as well.
That reminds me, I've got a lottery ticket in my bag that I haven't... Sorry, listeners, I might not be here next week. Might be 30 million richer.
That'll be good. That'll be good. But how about your INXS week, B? What's come across your desk? Anything exciting for the listeners that involves your massive network of contacts out there, B?
Well, should I talk about John Jamin and what he's sort of led us to?
He's great, isn't he?
He's amazing. He's amazing. John's a patron, only lost this year, I think, and he's also come on the team, and he is gunning for INXS to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And he loves it, doesn't he? He goes to the Rock Hall.
Camping out permanently.
He even got his daughter involved.
Well, that was my next question. Who was the girl there? And I thought that must be his daughter because she's passionate. There was a little video where she was there doing her thing with her T-shirt, which was sweet.
Yeah, really cool.
I'm thinking, does John must be sort of lipping down the Rock Hall of Fame, stalking them till we get nominated, the band gets nominated.
Yeah, and he's made a podcast called Who Cares About the Rock Hall? Now, you've been listening to this already over the last years, and I think they've been going since 2018, so a little bit before us, and they've just hit 250 episodes. And you said that a girl had left and they're looking for a co-host.
It looks like that way. It looks like that's the case. From that sort of point of view, I guess they're looking to maybe bring in some co-hosts, different, maybe it's temporary co-hosts and things. But I guess the bigger picture with the podcast is they generally, throughout the year, they run regular episodes, but they'll talk about acts that have been nominated, acts that have been snubbed. I know in recent times, INXS did get a mention there, and we'll elaborate on that in the news. Okay.
But they've had Mr. Krim on lately, which is a big deal.
Yeah, but I think the bigger picture is there is definitely a process there, and there has been some links between Mark Hallington, who we interviewed recently, and he had a contact that came up who was intrinsic to that show. But this is all sort of, sometimes it keeps you up to date with what's going on with the nominating process. So I often find that show has had a very good track record of identifying likely nominees and then likely sort of selections and things like that, because they put a lot of time and effort into it. The frustrating thing, why I've always felt a little bit sort of negative about INXS getting in, is because they haven't been discussed a lot on that show. And these guys seem to be quite knowledgeable.
Well, that's where we come in, Hayden. So I've planned up to be a co-host if you can't make it. Only thing is that bloody time difference, us being in Australia and then being in Los Angeles. Yeah. But I did hear, I'm halfway through it, but they have put their top 10 and INXS was number 4 on their list. Okay. So they're highly rated.
Good progress.
Yes, we got progress, and we've got some of the people that will be doing the nominations. Or
well, they get people who actually who fill ballots out on the show. That is people who are part of the.
It's exciting, isn't it? Hey, I think so. Yeah.
For some of our listeners out there, they couldn't give two hoots, but I think what once you give two hoots about is the band getting their recognition. So if you care about the band, I think they deserve the recognition, which is why you should care about it to a certain degree.
And if you do care and they do get in, that means they'll play. And we'll get to hear them one.
You can go with us. You can be part of the entourage. You can be in the crowd. Hanging out with the after party,
Who doesn't want that?
Absolutely. So, all right. Anything else, Pete, that's hit your sort of, said a couple of bullet points there?
Only that I want to say hello to a lot of new listeners. I know you've all been talking to me off air. So that's really cool that you found us. And I can see that you're going through the list because we can see her statistics going up. So that's fantastic. Thank you, guys. It means a lot to us. Thank you.
Quick shout out to one of the people who did engage with us, a guy called Stuart Rose, who had a little bit of a side hustle, little band thing, and he did post his version of Viking Juice that made its way all the way to the ears of Mark Opitz.
I did send
Capri at the moment. Hello, Mark, enjoying the Isle of Capri again every year he goes. And he happened to love the version of it too. So well done to Stuart, and thank you, Mark, for engaging with Stuart's recording. Big thing, B, we are welcome our patrons aboard. And as discussed last week with our friend Nick Egan, we definitely value your patronage and we would love more patrons to get involved. Excitingly, over the next few weeks, you will see that if you are a patron, both now and in the future, you will get access to past, present, and future episodes of content that not everybody will get. So understand this. If you are loyal to us and putting your hard-earned in, we want to give you extra content and extra access to some of our old episodes and some of our old key interviews and also future stuff to get value for your money. So jump on the bandwagon with us. All patrons will be going to the Rock Hall induction. We will make sure you get to the after party as our pledge to you to get that happening. So, B, I'll let you call out our patrons as it is.
I'd like to say hello to everybody else.
All right, B. Well, we thought we'd get a little bit musical today. We, every few weeks, want to remind ourselves that this is a music show to a certain point, and we always want to remind our listeners that it is the music that really joins us all together. It's that connective tissue that joins us all together. And B came up with this particular topic, which I dipped my lid to. She came back with a creative juggernaut of ideas from her time in the UK. I don't know if it was the wine on the plane back in first class, B, or it was hobnobbing around England, but you came up with some very cool creative ideas. And one of them is this particular topic, which is all about INXS hooks. And what we mean by that, a hook is that thing in a song that sort of ropes you in, where it makes you stop, pause, listen, the heart flutters, and it beats a little bit loud, and you go, wow, that's pretty cool. That catchy sort of little rhythm that might connect with you. So we're very excitedly going to be sharing, I guess, we won't compete, but I think you're your top 10. I've got my top 10. So we may even have some listeners who've engaged throughout the week with it, but looking forward to diving deep on the best INXS hooks from each of our opinions. All right, B, what's the time for?
It's time for the news.
Hi, it's Dave from England, and you're listening to INXS Access All Areas with Hayden and B, and now it's time for the news.
All right, B, well, I think we need to cue the Media Street music. Okay, what was that little jingle we used to put on there when INXS band members went down Media Street?
Hi, this is Katie from England. You're listening to INXS Media Awards.
Media Awards, I think we called it, didn't we?
Yeah.
Well, Andrew Farris is a touring juggernaut at the moment in terms of Media Street. I don't know if you saw it the other night, but on Sunday night he was on the project and his hat was there as well, which is pretty exciting.
It's a bit of a tuck up now, so we can see his little face.
Yes, absolutely. But he was on the project the other night and was talking a little about his latest single, which we spoke about last week, which is called Something Stronger. Only 5-6 minute interview, but it was a nice little punchy one. And Andrew reflected on the inspiration behind the song. Equally, he has been in the News 11 articles this week, which is a great publication, giving some information about the recording. He's also in Tone Deaf, which is another online publication, and also themusic.com.au. So often when you do read an article that's of similar nature to the topic itself, be it the new single, you do get different quotes and different information. So you do find a little nugget or two that's not always in each of them on their own.
I love the nugget on the program when they said about Beyonce getting into country.
Yeah.
Wow. Awesome.
Talk about the older country music. But yeah, look, sometimes you'll get a little nugget in one interview, a little nugget in the other, and they're not always in each of them are the same. But
do you think she's done that because of Dolly? I reckon. She probably wants an award for country music like Dolly's got one for rock and roll.
Is it country appropriation? I don't know, but we'll leave it at that. Also, too, we talked about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame a little bit earlier, but part of that sort of articles that came out via the Rock podcast was there's a great article in Vulture magazine, or the online publication Vulture, where it talks about the stubs in the Rock Hall of Fame, and INXS are listed in that as well, with the reasons being. And they do highlight there has been a push for 80s acts in terms of acts that dominated that era. Certain acts like Depeche Mode, Def Leppard, Duran Duran have all been recognised in the last couple of years through their induction, and they probably were part of that 80s movement. So it does augur well for hopefully INXS being recognised for 2025. Also, a couple of little things, a couple of articles worth listening to and reading. There's one in Ultimate Classic Rock, talks about the new sensation recording, and some of us don't know this. The inspiration, the hook, the link, did actually have its sort of germination back in the Shabu Shabat era, and Andrew was working on that sort of song for about 5 years before he found the right sort of tone towards it. So an Ultimate Classic Rock publication, you put down New Sensation article, it does give a good history of the song and how Andrew wrote it and where it started and where it eventually led to. So that is worth a deep dive. Equally in online publications, there's one called The Mirror and talks about 12 unique band names, B, that had letters in their title. Mm-hmm. And I just thought questions without notice. B, you love a good trivia question.
I do.
I mean, 3 or 4 bands that have letters in there, the name of their said act.
ABBA?
Correct. Well, you're reading my notes, aren't you? I just realised you're just reading my notes. Okay.
Yeah, but I would have said ABBA.
I'll play this. Meryl Streep, come on. Who else is there?
U2?
Oh, wow. That's a good guess.
TLC?
TLC, correct. AC/DC.
AC/DC. REM, yeah.
We can actually look with some numbers here. We've got B-52s, UB40, XDC, which obviously is letters
would
here.
Run DMC class for it?
Nearly. It's sort of half. It's a word and it's a set of letters. But yeah, it was just sort of interesting. It just made me think, certain eras often have sort of, things that link them. And, INXS, U2 and REM are all part of a similar movement and they're all sort of got those sort of letters that sort of almost like an acronym that add up to a word. The interesting thing is a lot of the time for INXS, particularly in that era, it was great having a very simple name or, a name that you could put on posters and send out. It wasn't too sort of, esoteric and things.
Unless you can't say it and you say INKS at the very
Yeah. And it's really funny. We've been talking the last few weeks in the news about the first reactions of videos.
Mm.
So many of these particular people who are discovering these songs, they call it, this band, INXS. Yeah. Or they go INKS, as we all know. But yeah, so of that era, there was a lot of bands in the 80s, 90s came out with sort of letters in their names. But in the end of the 90s and the early 2000s, do you remember there was that period where every band was called like The Vines, or The Struts?
Yes, the yeah.
Yeah, The Hives. Every band had a the at the front.
The Rolling Stones.
That a bit back in the day. But so I guess it's all those tastes and trends that happen. Moving along, a little bit of live concert news. So I want to give a shout out to the Don't Change Boys, B. They're in Melbourne on Friday night. I think the moniker of this gig is called Honk If You Like INXS. And I saw one of the links there, and good old Karen Peters, she put a like there. So she's everywhere, good old Karen. Okay, no AVOs needed for Karen and a man from Don't Change at all.
I thought they were doing a taste it concert and they were doing a little bit of a tasting before they got on the show. I don't know what they were tasting, but it was in a little...
Well, they're playing Esplanade on Friday night at 8:30. The show starts. Unfortunately, I'm at the football at the same time, but it would have gone.
Yeah.
Also, too, you mentioned this during the week, but it was something that we have mentioned in previous episodes, and we'd love to get him on. There's a gentleman called Lee Hardy who actually won Australian Idol in the early sort of, mid-2000s, might have been 2008, 9 or 10. He has had an INXS show he's been doing called Mystify. He's rebranded with another sort of theme behind it. But on September 7th, he's basically going to be doing a show at Tullamarine at a place called Pockets. And that'll be really good. I'm going to go to that.
I was going to say, are you going to go?
I'm going to try to snare him to get on our podcast because I have reached out to him, but he hasn't replied. So maybe we'll just have to go to a gig.
Buy the beer.
I rang him, yeah. Also, too, as mentioned a bit earlier before we started recording, John Stevens is back touring again. He's going to be doing a gig in Manly on September 21.
Oh, whereabouts?
But no, I don't know the venue in Manly, but he's had a much-needed holiday. He's probably the hardest-working man in Australian show business. He's touring about 250 days a year. So he's come off a 4 to 6 week break, but he's raring to get back into it. So kudos to John, and that's September 21 in Sydney.
And now, wait, hang on. Take a breath for this one, please. A little bit pissed off. All right.
I've got a bit of a gossipy news that's 31 years old, B. Can I share this one?
31 years old, but it's still...
Yes. Okay. So there's a great publication called Far Out Magazine. It's an online publication, and they're a little bit sort of gossipy, and they're a little bit sort of, what we would say in Australia called shit stirrers.
Yes.
But they'll have a heading saying something like 5 songs Roger Waters hated. Why does Dave Gilmour hate Roger Waters? Why did Michael Stipe diss the Beatles? So they've always got these sort of inflammatory headings. They're like a good gossipy type of magazine that you would get in the at the counters of supermarkets. This one had me reading, and the heading I had to laugh was, "Why was Michael Hutchins, Robert Smith from The Cure's most hated person of the moment?"
Of course he was the most hated person.
Now, I'll put a bit of context around this. This is in 1993. INXS were just been touring a little around through Europe, and we're doing an interview about doing some of the smaller gigs and venues and things. And Robert Smith was having a go at Michael's answers to the questions or the questions posed in the interview. So he was having a go more at the interview than Michael, but he was sort of like, well, of course you played smaller gigs when you first started, and this. And Robert was just being his typical prat, because Robert has a history of hating people. The Cure's shtick is gloom and doom and, I want to slash my wrist. That's the notion of their music most of the time. Having said that, In Between Days is a good song. But Robert's punched on with Morrissey over the journey. He thinks that Radiohead have only got one good album. He's punched on with Oasis, but now he's remixing some of Noel's solo stuff. So I don't take Robert too seriously. I would say at 66 years of age, running around with the frizzy hair and the lipsticks, probably a little bit tired. Maybe he could unmask himself like Kiss did. But I thought that was just an interesting publication. You go back and read. It's more about Robert being a sort of a curmudgeon at 36 at the time than anything else.
Let's turn that around. I mean, it was, back in the in 1993, what? So let's just let that pass. I'm sure he doesn't think that anymore. He's a really good guy, is Robert. He's taken on Ticketmaster, I do believe, and selling tickets for $39.99 or something instead of the big prices that were being inflated. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, no, I just think he's a wanker. So he's a tosser. So he's had some good tunes, but talk about the lack of variety and versatility in their career. They've had the same one-trick pony thing going on for 37, 38 years. So
got a massive following still.
Well, there's a lot of miserable people out there too, and there will be, as you know. So hello, Cure fans. You can cancel me anytime you like.
I hear that he gets on stage and he goes and bows and thanks everybody before he even starts.
Right, yeah, we'll see about that. All right, moving along. Bit of a shout out. I want to give a kudos to this one. Werewolf Reviews. Now, it's not spelt as in the normal werewolf, but I think it's W-A-R-E in terms of the actual name of the website. But they've actually done a retrospective review of every INXS album from the start to the end.
Good on it.
And detailed, knowledgeable, fair, and worth a deep dive in your own time if you want to sort of reminisce. Also, to Jane Gazzo, friend of the podcast, who helped us with the Ollie Olsen interview. She did reach out to me during the week, and said she's just done an interview with Nick Launay, who we already have. But if we wanted to share that interview on our platform, we could. Just give her kudos and her platform recognition of it. Mm-hmm. So we may do that over the next few weeks.
Yeah, I saw some of it. I seen a snippet of it. It was about Midnight Oil, the bit that
it's a bit of a artist and actors to work with over time.
It's not just right.
It's sort of centric. So it might
the
be
models as well.
We sent through and things, Nick Cave and stuff. But thank you for sharing that with us, Jane.
Thank you, Jane.
Also, too, B, we need to do a bit of a thank you. We actually had, very rarely, had a review of our podcast, and we had a lady called Terry Thomas from the Aquarium, and I think I sort of personally saw this and didn't open it for a few days and I just thought it was some sort of spam thing. I don't really know what I thought, but it had our podcast linked to Duran Duran and Depeche Mode, but it was only, I think, when you prompted me to open it, I did, and it actually had some lovely things to say. So, Sherry, thank you for that. We do try. I'm sure we can get better at a lot of things, but it's nice to know that you do listen to the show and have quite a good grasp on it based on the review you gave. Not that it's about all the highlights and everything, but you did have a sense of what we try to achieve with it, and that came across. So thank you, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry.
And also, B, no one loves no gazing more than us, but we did sneak into the top 10 in Australia this week in the Music History Podcast.
Why did we do that?
We're going from 58 to number 10, so probably because we're working.
Oh, because we went away.
Again. We're working again, and we're putting podcasts out again. So thank you all the listeners in Australia, particularly, who helped us with that goal. But B, that's the news of the week.
Hey, this is Tim Farris. Big shout out to Hayden and B. Also want to say hello to all the listeners and INXS fans. Thanks for listening. I love you, Hayden and B. You're doing a great job. Keep it up.
Thanks, Tim. And now it's time for Topic of the Week.
Right, B, Topic of the Week. We're going to be talking about INXS hooks. So this is a bit of a labour of love for us, where we get to sort of love art, so love our individual tastes on songs and connections with certain material and things. And I guess, the broader discussion, as I often like to sort of start a topic off with, is that, what makes us love some bands and music and artists and solo singers and things, and then sometimes not like others. It's an interesting thing, isn't it, when you break it all the way down? The world at the moment is enamored with Taylor Swift. I'm not into it. It's a bit like soccer. I'm not into soccer, but I really respect the people who love it. And the older you get, the more I think you become respectful of other people's choices and things, and not trying to sort of tell them, oh, that's no good or whatever, because when you're young, you only see your way, I guess. And if somebody's outside the realm of what you think, you always think they're dumb or they don't get it or whatever. But also over terms of our life, there's sometimes music and songs and material that it's funny. I see interviews with the Sex Pistols and Johnny Rotten and things, and there's some stuff that Johnny Rotten loves that's really sort of mild and melancholy, and it's not punkish. And you always think, oh, Johnny Rotten only loves punk music. But no, he liked Johnny Cash and he liked things that were mellow to a certain degree. So I guess, music's one of those things that is forever evolving, but the one thing that we all probably share with on this podcast is that the things we loved about INXS in our early days are probably the same things now. And I think this notion of having a great hook, having that sort of engagement to a sound, because music is very much, through your ears. I mean, it's all listening. It's not a visual thing generally, albeit if you're watching a film clip of Michael, it does become visual. But traditionally in speaking, music is an auditory thing. It's what you listen and hear. There were sounds from INXS in those early days that sort of made them become my favourite band, and then develop over time as those sounds, kept growing. Let me ask you though, as I share the platform, when you think of a hook with INXS or a certain sound, what sort of has connected with you over the journey?
The hooks for me are Gosh, there's so many. I can't wait to go through my list later. But it was just so different, you know, hearing Michael with his size and the harmonica and a few of the different beginnings that hooked you in, and Gary's bass. And also there was a lot of space in their music as well. That really drew me in, because you're just thinking, God, what is this? I've never heard it. A bit like a Prince record in a way. You never know which avenue it's going to go. So yeah, there's many, many things I was hooked into INXS musically, never mind visually.
Okay. Well, one of the things which is interesting is that I think great bands, you know, had, you know, something that was a bit more than just immediate. You know, when you hear a song and after 4 listens to it, you're a bit bored with it. Like it's almost like a KFC, McDonald's hit. You're hungry in an hour's time, you know. Some of the best songs are songs that grew over time, but then they went down different ways when you listen to them again. I think INXS's songs rewarded you with repeated listening. Sometimes there was some interesting sounds and some subtle, you know, flourishes within the band itself. And then, you know, when you break it down, because there were 6 musicians, and you mentioned earlier about Gary's bass, and you got John's drumming, and then you've got Tim's leads, guitar, and you got the saxophone, Michael's vocals, Andrew's keyboards. There were often, as you said, space, but also a democracy in the sound of the band, where every band member generally got a chance to contribute on a track. If you hear some other bands, and again, you know, one of my favourite bands to hate, as we all know, is Nickelback. Another one is Bon Jovi, and those sort of ones. To me, they always sound very meat and potatoes. There's not a lot of subtlety. They almost sound like just one sort of, you know, base of music.
Not as creative.
Not a lot of, well, yeah, not a lot of subtlety in it and whatever. And look, again, that's just my view. I'm not here to sort of act like David Wild from Rolling Stone and be the oracle and all these things. But I felt, you know, just as an INXS fan, there was enough variety and left-hand turns, and you could hear songs on repeat listening and come up with different angles. Like even that little salsa bit towards the end of Suicide Blonde, you know, like, the end of Original Sin, I should say. And I think that's, you know, what a great hook does. It sort of raises the heartbeat a little bit. It sort of lifts the endorphins. It serves to maintain your love of the band.
Keeps your interest.
Yeah. And sometimes songs I found with INXS, you know, I can wear off them a little bit, and then a year or two later something happens. I might see it on a movie, and then it re-enlivens itself again to me, or it might be a certain part of the track that just, oh my God, I didn't notice that the first time or the 15th time. So I guess, you know, one of the things being a 6-piece sort of ensemble band is there's quite a broad palette of paints and colours that do make up that painting that does give
Hayden, we're talking about music here.
Huh?
Hayden, we're talking about music here.
Yeah, I know. But
it
does give you that long-standing, beautiful portrait at the end, or painting at the end, that is represented by all members of the band. So we shall, though, go into our list, because I'm very interested on yours. I've actually shown you mine. I haven't seen yours.
I haven't looked at yours. Honestly, I haven't.
Well, I thought we'd do the traditional thing where we'll go 10 down to 1, and we'll start with your 10th and then go to mine, and then we'll go to your 9th and vice versa. And be up for the sake of listeners here and whatever, we'll time code some of these, because they are in certain songs. Hooks are certain parts of the song. So you know, for me on my list, I'm going to give you a few little time codes, and we're going to put a bit of audio over the top. And even for yourself, you might not have the time codes on you now, but you might be able to sort of explain on your list what part of the song where the hook is, and we can add that in post. And
I do want to say, I haven't looked at your list, so we may
cross over. Yeah.
We may cross-pollinate.
And the other thing, just to preface, the hooks might not mean that these are our top 10 favourite songs each. There might just be these little flourishes that, as I said, represent, you know, a part of a song where these hooks add up to our favourite hooks overall. So again, it might not be the favourite songs overall, but they might just be hooks or uniqueness of sound within each song that has made our list. So, B, we will start off with you first, ladies first. Number 10, what have you got for me?
The drums at the beginning of Drum Opera.
Right.
You know, when it's the, and then dum dum.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love that. Especially when it's raining. I play that really loud when there's a storm going on. Love it. And that's a great hook for me.
Right. Well, I'm sure as we are talking, we can hear that in the background. But the cool thing about that too, is it's very much a percussive, you know, John hook, isn't it? So I guess we can label these under which part of the band are doing it. My number 10, I'm going out a bit of a limb here. This is a song that not a lot of our listeners would probably even have on the list, but it's probably my top 2 favourite songs off the Switch album. The song's called Hungry. You know, JD does a great vocal on this, but this song precedes JD. This is a song that John Stevens sung with INXS back in the early 2000s. It was one of the tracks that probably would have been on the next INXS album if Michael was alive. So it's an Andrew song. So as we sort of put it on now, heard there, it's just that little middle 8 sort of bit where there was that pause, and it was almost like that reaching out, you know, and that sort of elevated escalation chorus. But it has this almost this sort of like nightclub trance sort of dancey sort of needle drop, in that middle bit, that pause. And then it's just so great with their pauses, like it never tear us apart. And this song does it really well. And I remember just upon a few hearings and listening to this song, that hit me probably maybe on the 10th or 15th listen to make it a real favourite of mine. Live, it's just fantastic. I think there's a live version on the Switch Tour CD. I absolutely encourage you to listen to this one. So that's my number 10. B, number 9 for you.
It's the bottle being played in The Spy of Love.
Oh, okay. Yes.
It's just so quirky. It's like, what the heck is that? That sound? And it's not until you watch the video. And then you've got all the other little bits of it. I just love it. It's such a delightful video, but it enhances the music because you're like, what are all those different unique sounds that are going on in Spy of Love?
They look like those dolphin sounds on that song at the start, don't they? No, absolutely. I think that was a sort of fan favourite sort of song there. It was going to be a single, I think, until they sort of flipped around to something else. Good one, number 9. For me, B, number 9 is what I think is their best song 11 on any of the albums, and I know this is a favourite of yours, Strange Desire.
Oh.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it's got this great salsa bit and this sort of rhythm bit going, but we're just going to throw to this little hook section now to come back and talk about it. It changes, structure in the song, and you think it's going into the sort of the chorus, but it's Michael going, must have wanted. That little sort of throw there was such a great hook. I remember hearing go, wow, what a great little unanticipated lyric and change to the structure of the song. So often in INXS's song structures, they would do that where they'd have a verse and a chorus, but then they'd have a different sort of chorus come through or a pre-chorus. And just, again, that element of songwriting craft that kept, never complacent as a listener. All right. Being number 8 for you.
Yeah, it's the same song, but it's actually the bass line. I just find that dun, 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 to the very beginning.
Did you change your list after seeing my one?
No, I just had to cross it off, really.
Okay, fair enough.
Strange Desire. I mean, I don't know if many people have really listened to it. I know our listeners have, but if you're new to the show and listening now, go back and listen to that album, Strange Desire. It is really should have been a single.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, number 8 for me, B, probably a song that you and I argued a bit about on our Illegally Wasted sort of album reviews and things like that, and it's Shake the Tree. What I like about this hook, now this is not a top 10 favourite song, but it's a little top 10 hook, is that I just love this sort of start of the song with the rattlesnake and the big thumping percussion and guitar and the vocal. Play a little bit of it now. Yeah, so coming back there, just something that was just, completely different sonically than what they'd done before. And it was just such a big sort of chunky sounding sound. And I just thought it had these really disparate elements that made me feel like I was in the Arizona desert being chased by a rattlesnake and intimidated. So Shake the Tree for me, I thought had an awesome hook.
Fantastic.
Right, B, lucky 7 for you.
My lucky number 7 for me is Andrew's keyboards in Burn For You. I know they're dated, but you can't help but put a little smile on your face every time you hear that little keyboard go. And it's just, and then the whole lot. And you just...
All right, let's put a little flourish in now, B, for you. All right, back we are there. No, they're very cool. I mean, they're very 1984. They are sort of memorable for a time and place. So, cool. All right, number 7 for me, the hook for me here is on the song Just Keep Walking. It's when they rip into this little section now. Sort of rhythmic sort of hook, ska meets rock thing as they were establishing themselves to me is both timeless and still feels good.
So fresh still, isn't it?
Yeah, 44 years later, it still feels good. So that's the little hook. It's almost that rhythmic chorus bit that elevates that end. Shut It, Brother, Just Keep Walking. Is that if you play it to the rank and file listener, they'd go, is that INXS? No, it's not. They wouldn't think it is. They think it's a different band. Number 6 for you, B.
Okay, I'm going for something a bit different here, but it is one of their big ones. It's Never Tear Us Apart, but it's that hesitant drop in the middle when it goes. And then it goes into the saxophone. That is unbelievable. It's just like gets you every time. You can just put that on a roll, couldn't you?
It's almost like a dramatic pause, isn't it?
Yeah. And that one for me is a massive hook.
This particular week, I have watched in my downtime about 8 reaction videos and Never Tear Us Apart. And that exact spot you're talking about, look, there's two shot looks on their faces, right? One when that dramatic pause happens and then the guitar starts. They look at the camera, they're like, wow. And the next one is when the saxophone bit with Kirk up to the graveyard area. they hear the sax bit. That's the other moment where their eyes sort of sparkle as well. So definitely a big hook, and one that I think still resonates to this day. All right, number 6 for me, B, I think you'll like this one, is Love Is What I Say. It's this sort of little pre-chorus bit that we'll put on now. All right, B, well, we heard that little bit there where that little build-up to the What I Say and the What I Say I bit. It's almost like this sort of orchestral keyboard thing, and it's this build-up, and then it hits with the What I Say chorus bit. I just think that is a magic part, and I think, Nick Egan, a good friend of the podcast, upon discovering the back catalogue, loves that song. He rated it in the top 3 or 4, and I think it's a real, deep cut, rewarding gem for those listeners who haven't heard it. All right, B, we get into the top 5 now. What's your number 5 hook?
Okay, got to put this one in. The harmonica at the beginning of Suicide Blonde.
Cool. Do tell.
Do tell. It's unique. I haven't heard it ever done before, or have you? I don't know. I don't think I have.
Well, they got a guy called Charles Musselwhite, who's a famous blues harp player, to come in and do 3 songs on X, that being one of them. I think Who Pays the Price? On My Way as the 3rd song. You see that at Andrews at the start of most of the concerts with Suicide Blonde playing that at the start, when they do the Rio one, Hey Rio, and then it's a dun 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 dun. It's quite powerful. Isn't it?
Great. It's very powerful. Yeah, you're right. All right, number 4.
5 for me.
Oh, is it 5? Oh, right.
Yeah, 5 for you, now 5 for me. Okay, so this one, this is at the start of the song. So I'm going to put this thing on and we'll all know what it is. All right, B, well, that was Melting in the Sun. Right out of the blocks there, we've got a heavy guitar, drum and bass bit with Gary, Tim, and, I guess Andrew and Kirk there with their respective instruments. But to me, it just goes out of the blocks with this dun, 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 dun. Like, to me, it's just a hook from the get-go. And it then repeats itself through the song. Yeah, it's just catchy. It goes into sort of a big sort of group chorus thing. But I just think from a powerful out of the blocks, hit you in between the eyes. All right, number 4 for you, B.
Number 4 is this.
Come on, yeah.
Who can't get enough of hearing Michael whisper very quietly but so sensually into the microphone? Even you must feel a little bit of like, I want to be like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's one of those songs, when you actually go back and listen to a song like Need You Tonight, it's lyrically still so relevant to now, about like 21st century's yesterday. Like even though that was in the 20th century when you wrote and recorded, like it has a time of sort of lyric behind it, but that spoken whisper at the start, talk about, come over here and bring you into my world with the video. I mean, It is a hook of hooks that is
right into your ear.
Yeah, 100%. All right, for me, my number 4 is, look, we'll play it from here to start with and we'll all know what it is and come back and talk about it. All right, B, new sensation. Has there ever been a hook that puts a smile on your face any bigger than that one? Whether it's Wembley or whether it's the album version or whether it's the Nix 12-inch mix, which I love the most. That's sort of an opening to a song where it's like, talk about immediate sugar hit and smile on your face. I think it's one of the great hooks. And as we said earlier in our news section, it took Andrew sort of 5 years to come up with the right sort of template of sounds and flourishes, but the wait was worth it. So number 4 for me, new sensation, the intro.
Fantastic. And I've got to say that's going to be my number 3 as well, because it's an epic song. I mean, even the lyrics in that's so hooky as well. I mean, it's just an amazing song.
Yeah. All right. So my number 3, okay, I'm going to go into here is To Look At You, B, which is 3rd single off the Shabir Shabara, probably the single that did keep Spy Love from being a single. This little section here we're going to play and come back and talk about it. B, well, it's that little bit where it's that soft opening and then it breaks into the heavier parts of the song, as you just heard. To me, where it goes, what is a name to call, for a different type of girl, and then it hits that middle part as well, with some of those interesting sort of prehistoric sounds. So it's got hooks everywhere in this song. It's probably one of the hookiest songs that they've got. So the top 2 have to be pretty special to beat it, but it's hook central. And look, this is a song that Tim and the band were very keen to have in the miniseries. It's a very INXS song, INXS-like song compared to the rest of their catalogue. But again, it makes it more special being so unique as it is. Number 2 for you, Bert.
Number 2 for me is Gary Beers' Bass in What You Need, running all the way through. Fantastic. That hooked me in as a teenage girl and I can't stop listening to it still. I never, ever, ever could not listen to that. I had it on repeat. But that bass line just hooked me right in.
Now, not so long time ago, but you did see INXS at the Odeon in '86, I think.
Yes.
And that was the album that sort of broke your consciousness of things. It's always hard to remember things years and years ago, but do you have any memory of that gig? And was that song something you remember from the gig?
I do. Yes. Yeah. I ran right down to the front when that one came on because that was the biggie. That was the biggie. Yes. Obviously, we knew Listen Like Thieves and a few of the others, but that was the one. And it was just a rush, absolute rush. Yeah. And that's when I was like, I think my head just came off and I just exploded. And I was like, this is it. This is the band and I have got to meet them or do something. Yeah. And that was it.
Well, my number 2 is the same as yours, but it's actually for different reasons. So we're going to actually cross this little section live at Wembley B. Okay, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, B, we've come back there. That's the bit there where Michael said to Tim, play the riff, Tim, play the riff, Tim. And then when you see Tim play the riff, this is both audio and visual because you see the stage pose of Tim playing the riff. But whether it's audio or visual, whatever, it's still fantastic. But it's almost like that's the moment where, one of the greatest riffs the band have and one of the rare moments where they do self-indulgently do stuff on stage about riffing was played. It was almost like, the tingles up my spine. Every time I watch it, I still feel the same way. So I guess if that's the case, some 38, 39 years after it was released and then 31, 32 years since Wembley, it still resonates. I think it's my number 2 for me. We are similarly thinking. But
we are.
All right, B, a little bit of a drum tap here. Okay, number 1 for you. Okay, your top hook for INXS. Okay, over to you.
It's Michael's voice. Michael singing hooks me in every time. He is so clear with his lyrics. His lyrics are so beautiful. You just have to listen. Every song. I'm a huge fan. Come on, you got to give this to me. You're not. Wait, just stop laughing. I'm in love with Michael. I'm in love with INXS, and it's Michael's voice, and then it's the music afterwards. I'm sorry.
This is a great opportunity. This is what you call a great opportunity to show the difference between B and I. That B, being typically broad-minded, cannot narrow her decisions down to one thing.
No,
she's having the smorgasbord and extra of everything at the times. Okay, so maybe we should put the song "Everything" down there for INXS.
You know what? I was thinking everything, and I was actually thinking of Searching as well because those are beautiful songs. But I can't pick. You make me pick a song to go to.
Remind me that scene in The Office.
Michael, come on.
That scene was a Ricky Gervais is interviewing Big Keithy about A, B, C, and D, and it's like A, B, or C, or D, all the above, and he keeps picking D, all the above. Okay, all right. My number 1, okay.
It's probably my number 1 as well.
Well, no, I'd actually made a decision. I've picked a song B in my number 1.
Oh, have you? Okay. Well, it is your show, I suppose.
This is complete self-indulgent. I'm not trying to be too cool for school with this one, but it is legitimately my favourite hook. It's probably a top 20 INXS, top 30 INXS song for me, but in terms of a hook, I'm going to play this little section for you now and come back and talk about it. All right, B, well, that was Good and Bad Times. Not good times, but good and bad times off the last song on side 1 of Listen Like Thieves. That section there where the band, this is such a band composition in the sense that each party gets a chance to do their thing. We get this section where Kirk's playing the saxophone and then it builds up and then it comes back to this big drum and then this great Gary bass sort of outro. To me is just this like quintessential INXS where you've got these great players, you've got this great sort of, palette of sounds, and they all sort of confluence together to create this sort of like 30, 40 second, sound where there's not much singing in this part of it, but there's just this great sound texture there. And as I said at the time of the album review, it's their heaviest song. And sometimes you just want to rock out, to tracks and lose your mind. And this one to me is just like hook central. Again, when I discovered Listen Like Thieves and got the album and found this as one of those little deep cut album tracks, I'm like, wow, talk about depth of material. So a little bit alternative, a little bit different to what most people think, but I think Good and Bad Times to me, that hook just gets me every time. So that's my number 1 B.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, I threw it out there onto our platforms and I said, hey, INXS fans, we're curious to know what was your hook that got you into listening into INXS more deeply? Was it a particular song, album, or maybe a live performance that drew you in? Now, it's slightly different to what Hayden and I have been talking to, but Danielle and I will be coming back later with some of your responses.
Yeah, absolutely. So, look, we think this podcast will elicit quite a bit of interaction, things like that. And I think over this last week, we had over 100 interactions with some of our Facebook platforms and things you're saying, B. Yeah, so look, please share. As I said, this has been quite a musical topic today because we want to get back to, sometimes every few weeks, what are those little sounds and trinkets of noises that just still rope us in all these years later? As I've said, a lot of the time, and I think the band has, INXS more than just, Michael. They were the sum of their parts. They were a band, and, we know what the world don't all know, and that is they weren't just Michael. They were a composite of sounds and skill. We're a team, and that's how you end up with these flourishes. I mean, Michael didn't play an instrument; other people had to play them. Michael provided a sort of a sonic, bedrock of lyrics. Through his sighs and groans, and vocal escalations. It was a major contributor. He took these tunes and added to it. Some of these hooks that we're spoken about today are very much driven by the band. So we hope you like them. We're keen to find your ones out a little bit too. Do welcome a chance to engage with you on this topic.
Hi, you're listening to the #1 INXS podcast. And now it's time for fan engagement.
Well, welcome back to Fun Engagement with my gorgeous friend over in Florida, the other side of the world. How are you doing over there, Danielle?
Well, hello, beautiful bee. I'm so happy to see you again. It's been such a long time. I know you were on a girls' tour with Mila and our little Dutchie Carrie Ann. So I'm excited to have you back and get to talk to you. But I'm doing well in Florida, just sweltering a little bit. Asian Night says make you sweat. Well, Florida will make you sweat.
Off air, we've been looking at each other. You're perspiring over there. I've got all my woolies on. We've been talking quite a lot. And I said, let's just have a little drink. And what were you drinking? You had to have what?
I have a warm wine.
Well, I'm drinking my cold tea. I think we need to do a beverage swap here. But yeah, we've got loads to pack in today. So bear with us. We won't be waffling as much as we usually do. 4th of July, we're in the week, Danielle. And what did you get up to?
Yes, for Independence Day here in the States, I got to work for a little bit. But after that, I got to sit in my front yard and enjoy the big fireworks show that all my neighbors put on and get in the pool, enjoy some fireworks in the backyard. And over here, typically you grill out.
I hope you were listening to INXS at the end of the day to unwind as well, or party, whatever you might have been doing.
Absolutely. Joel and I have INXS on our playlist on every single technology thing that we own.
And not only was it the 4th of July celebrations, but we also celebrated a couple of other party people. KP, our beautiful Kirk Pengilly, Lane Beachley put some lovely photos of those two up, and absolutely special. What a great couple they are. And also Nick Egan, it was his birthday too. And Nick sent me a video of the trailer of his new documentary. Right, an exciting trailer that is. I can't wait to see the full documentary. Nick got a phone call from somebody who was very interested to make a documentary about Nick. And before he knew it, this guy had rocked up on his doorstep and said, come on, let's make a video. He said, and he's just sent it to me, and he sent me the raw cut. And I was like blown away with the raw cut. Now the trailer. So God knows how incredible the actual documentary was. Nick, you are a true punk, and we can't wait to see this rebellious documentary about your intervening with fashion and music for that generation.
Music was an ivory tower. It was something you could not get to. It was so far removed, it was beyond your imagination. But punk rock managed to change all of that. You put bleach on films, and I'd cut and then stick back together, and people in these utility rooms up in arms, because what are you doing to the film? It'd be like, and I'm like, but I'm not a filmmaker. I'm a punk.
I'm excited. Yes, very excited. Nick has just given so much to the podcast. And so I think as fans of Nick's work, let's all rally around and watch this documentary for Nick.
Fantastic. And if you want to watch the trailer, you can see that on our socials. We put it onto our Instagram and onto our Facebook page as well. Carrying on from Nick, his friend Danny. Danny, hi mate. Hope you're doing really well there. I hear that you're having some great record sales with your release of Michael's new music. And I believe there will be a date of the 9th of August for the red version. And that's being called, the red variant. It's called a street date. And it's August the 9th for the red version. And that'll be in your record stores. Let me read this out to you now. Lovely photos of backstage, Tim in his leathers there, and a gorgeous look from Michael. INXS fans, did you attend the INXS Listen Like This tour in 85 or 86? Send scans of your ticket stubs or merch to lltticketstubs@gmail.com for a chance to be a part of a special secret project. Very exciting. And I have got to do it because I went. So I can't wait to see. I know, I'm very excited. I don't know what it is. I actually put it out there onto our socials and to ask if anybody had any ideas or what they might think it might be also. We've got a couple here from Martin Norton, my favourite album. Can't wait to see. Long overdue. I hope it's a new release. couple of people. Rebecca, I was there. Simon, absolutely loved it. Melanie, sad she wasn't there. Darren, I'm hoping for a deluxe edition of Listen Like Thieves next year, similar to the Kick 30 box. Oh, and can we also have it on a compact disc? Seems companies forget not everyone wants to buy records. It's true. A lot of us still have our cassette players. And Pedro, gorgeous Pedro, hopefully a remastered box set, triple CD with a new vinyl, and fingers are crossed.
I was excited about our topic of the week, which is the hooks that got you interested and started into INXS. I went through every single comment. We had a fair amount of people with the top 3 being the one thing, original sin, and don't change.
Fantastic. I think there'd be probably, a lot of people would pick those ones.
Right.
A lot, yeah. We were curious to know what was the hook that got you into listening to INXS more deeply on our socials, even though our topic was slightly different. So I'd like to mention a few people's names I went through. So a few people were also hooked in by Live Aid by watching that in 1988. That was Mike and Greg. Also, Narelle, was her dad got her hooked into INXS, and so was Donna. Also, there was another lady, Gwenda. Her ex-boyfriend and his brother hooked her into INXS. And there was a gorgeous guy called Andreas. He opened his confirmation church box and got the album Kick. So good on the church there, supporting INXS. Thank you very much. Stephen Leslie grew up listening to INXS. Not only did he grow up with INXS, he actually ended up being quite good friends with them too. Kevin, he was hooked in by the Rockstar TV show that came out that was done by Danny there. Jeff, he went to the Narrabeen Ankler back in 79-88. He was on a surfing trip and he went to see them. And he says, Hutcho was so shy back then on stage. Bless him.
I've got one that was so cute. Miss Leanne, watching Countdown in Australia, Just Keep Walking grabbed my attention as INXS were an up-and-coming band at the time. From then on, they've been my favorite band. So Leanne, I said, you are one of the OGs of INXS fandom. And maybe Lingo doesn't transfer to Australia because she asked what an OG was. And I said, you were an original INXS fandom from the start. And I think that is so awesome. And she's still listening and still loving INXS all these years later.
I love all these true friends. It's great. So if you know any other INXS fans, you should bring them to the podcast because, we just love sharing all these stories and comebacks and comments. You've also got something about Mount Rushmore, haven't you? What was that all about?
So, sometimes whenever you're helping out with a Facebook page on INXS Access All Areas podcast, you come across some other pages. Well, there was a question, who is on the Mount Rushmore of front men and front women? For those of you that don't understand what Mount Rushmore is, here in the United States, we have a mountain out in the Dakotas, and it's got the presidents and Thomas Jefferson. Well, I absolutely loved one of the answers because everybody gave the general, Elvis McCartney, John Lennon, Elvis, those. But there was a lady named KJD, and she goes, if we can have a second row, please, Michael Hutchence, and I'll die on that hill. And I said, we will too.
I'd like to camp out on that hill. Yes, very much so. In one of these curls.
Yes. Okay. And then we had someone that is on our Instagram page, which if you don't know that we have Instagram, we all hop on our Instagram and join up. This is by Cat Coexistence. In 1987, I was 13 years old. My father wanted a special Christmas present for me. He went to a record shop and asked for advice, and they sold him Kick. The shop assistant deserved a medal for that. We agree.
We agree. Absolutely. We agree. And you got to think about a hockey team as well.
I do. Us in America, we like our sports teams. And I don't know how things are in Australia because I hear you got, talk about the Aussie rules football. But anyway, apparently the New York Rangers and the Detroit Red Wings used to come out to their games to New Sensation.
Yes. We love
I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That's that's a little bit of a trivia that I would have never known. So
they used to or still do?
I think it's a used to.
We need to get them back out doing it again. Let's get in touch with the team. Well, I got a lovely message from one of our super patrons, Cameron Adams, a journalist over here in Australia. And he sent me a great bit of footage from 1986. And it was asked of the kids from college that day, what was their favourite record that year. And it's great. And INXS get 3 mentions. And What You Need was right up there. And there was also a lady who went a bit deeper. And she came out with This Time. So we'll release that later because it's lovely just seeing the all the fashion.
Yeah, what we used to look like. And Miss B said she had expected me to be popped up in the video.
I did actually. I wasn't expecting a little mini Danielle to pop up, but we are going to get you popping up over here next year, aren't you? You're coming over and we'll be doing a bus tour. I know a lot of people have been asking me if there is going to be a bus tour this year because we haven't done one for a couple of years. So hopefully we'll be getting some special guests coming along as well. So if you're interested, get your names down because we'll be making that list up soon because we need to know how many people are coming. So how big this bus will be.
Yes. And if I'm coming to Australia for my 50th birthday, I want as many INXS fans around me so we can have a party.
Too right. Talking about other fans that are really out there and helping the podcast and just living INXS. Somebody from a tribute band, his name is Paul. And what was his surname?
Paul Stonick. Not quite sure. Okay. He sent a comment and apparently he made a custom INXS t-shirt with all the cassettes. So you've seen some like the Gen X post where you've got like your Van Halen and, like Purple Rain, Prince, all this stuff. But this is nothing but INXS tapes. And I thought that was the coolest t-shirt. And you guys, apparently he performs with the American INXS tribute band New Sensation. And they are going to be performing in, I believe it's Woodstock, Georgia in August, if I remember correctly. So let's go out and support these tribute band guys. Thank you, Paul, for sending that t-shirt in. And, maybe some of us fans in the state would love a custom t-shirt as well.
And also talking about t-shirts, Amberette over in France is advertising the podcast by wearing her podcast t-shirt out and about. We'll do a post for Anne and for Paul later on and you can see that. Now, this is the big news. Amazing. And it's Oasis. Oh my God. So yeah, I'll let you tell them the story.
Okay. Well, while B was on her girls tour, I was kind of helping out with Facebook for just a little bit. So yeah, if the posts were a little off or whatever, yeah, I was behind the post people. We always call out our top engagers or people like that. So I just have to say, we actually got to be a top engager on American Noise Music because they had put a repost of Eric Alford. In 1996, Michael Hutchence presented Oasis with a Brit Award. During the acceptance, Noel Gallagher said, has-been shouldn't be presenting awards to Gunnabys. Afterward, Michael secretly re-recorded the INXS song Elegantly Wasted to include I Am Better Than Oasis. So, of course, I had to jump on there and I said, INXS will always be better than Oasis. Love and peace. And let me tell you, we got 3.3 thousand likes and loves.
Just on that comment. It's amazing, isn't it?
On the comments.
Wow.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So congratulations to all those people that found the podcast via that little comment. We think that you're definitely one of our kind.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.
I think that's a wrap for fan engagement this week. I think that was packed. I hope you got your names mentioned. If you didn't, then hop onto our socials, get involved, and we'll give you a shout out next time. Bye, Danielle.
Bye, beautiful bee. See you later.
Hey, this is Paul Jolly from Sydney, and this is The Big Wrap.
All right, thank you, girls. Great edition of fan engagement again. Great to hear Danielle and yourself waxing lyrical. But it's a bit of a wrap. We're going to sort of go through a couple of quick things and get out of here. We think it's time for a good old auction and a raffle and a competition and all those things there combined. We had a couple of little goodies we're going to give away, maybe for Australians and things, and potentially some for our overseas patrons and listeners. Over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. So we're going to do a two-parter. We're going to put some things out onto eBay as an auction. One is a bottle of Kirk Pengilly's wine. Now, Kirk hasn't done a season this year of his wine, so this is very rare. This is from last year. It actually tastes really nice, but I haven't opened this bottle because of exporting and all the taxing and stuff. We can only give this away to Australian fans. So listen out. onto our platforms, and there'll be a link to the eBay, and you'll be able to have that because there'll only be 10 days that will be up. Now, for everybody else, we're going to do our famous lottery tickets. They'll be $20 and you can get them from the website. And Hayden and I have put a little package together. The biggie of the package is a CD of the single The Gift that has come from Tim and Kirk, and they've signed it for you as well. So it's a beautiful, can you see that, Hayden?
Yes.
It's of the Last Supper. So it's Michael in the middle with the wings on each shoulder. Yep. And then it's the Last Supper of all the guys on that picture. I've also got a picture or photograph of Michael, a rare picture of from a fan who's taken a photo of Michael on stage. That's gorgeous as well.
Right. It looks like it's around about 86. Is that right? With Michael's hair there?
Yeah, it's definitely the Listen Like Thieves tour. Yeah, it's quite a cool photo actually.
Yeah.
And also we've got a guitar pick, and we've said that is from the Elegantly Wasted tour.
Yep.
So that's beautiful as well. They go for quite a lot of money. This is all.
That's from the band, yeah.
That is from that was from Kirk. Kirk gave me that one.
Kirk's guitar picked from Elegantly Wasted, which never toured Australia. So guys, another little item.
Something rare there as well. And then we've got a little flyer, a double-sided publication for the Mystify doco that Richard Lowenstein did, and where me and Hayden actually first met. So we've got that there too, which is a great piece to put on anybody's wall. So 4 items there for $20 tickets. So they will be available as we speak. So get onto the website via the link, and we'll have that on for a few weeks, and then we'll get back to you with the winner.
All right, B. Well, we have, you've reached out to JD Fortune, who has expressed keen to come to our show, which is pretty cool. We'd love to have a chance to chat to JD and talk about things there. Till it happens, we will not totally confirm a date and time, but there are rumours about him touring down to Australia, as I mentioned recently, so that'll be pretty cool. That aside, B, we are due to do our 11th album review for the band. So we're going to be doing Switch, the CD, over the next 2 weeks, 3 if necessary. We ask you, do yourself a favour, go back and listen to it. There's some great tracks on the album. I think it's a very good record. We're going to break it down. Yes, it doesn't have Michael, we all know that, but a lot of these are Andrew compositions in the first place, and the band. So we're going to break down the Switch album and particularly sort of go track by track like we do, and give it our own sort of rating and review. B?
Yeah, funny enough, we're going to do a little bit of switch on this as well. So this week, we're going to be switching over to Patreon-only downloads. So for the Switch and all the other album reviews, you have to be a patron, and also to listen to any of our interviews. So that will be the Switch next week.
Okay, cool. All right, now we're going to go out today, B. You couldn't come up with the number one, so I can't really put a song on for you today as a tribute song. So I'm going to pull rank and put on Good and Bad Times for everybody. Just as a little reminder and a sweetener to what is pretty cool about it. So put your headphones on, turn it up to 11, kick back, have a beer in your hand, and enjoy I think it's about a 2-minute 50 absolute oral assault on your ears from INXS at their loudest and proudest and finest live period of their career, where Musician Magazine, after this particular tour in 1986, called them the greatest live band on the planet. Songs like this did add to that legacy. So be Good and Bad Times. It's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from B. Goodbye, everybody.